So welcome back everyone. Welcome to Bajirao IAS Academy, the Hindu News Analysis. So today is 4th June 2025 and today we have some very important topics for the discussion. And in fact, all these topics that we are going to discuss are important for your prelims and mains examination. So without any further delay, let's get into the discussion and let's understand all these important topics in a detailed and in a very elaborated manner. And in fact, the first topic with which we're going to start this session is about the Union government has recently launched a program called Naksha program. And now we'll understand what is this Naksha program and what are its objectives and why it has been launched. Remember, these programs are very important for prelims examination and you can also quote them in your mains answers as well if you know the exact details of the program, the objectives of the program. And in fact, so when we talk about this Naksha program, it actually means that the National Geospatial Knowledge Based Land Survey of Urban Habitations. So this is what is called as Naksha program. Right? So if I can repeat this again, so Naksha program actually means that the National Geospatial Knowledge Based Survey of Urban Habitations, and it has been launched by the Union government. And in fact, the aim of the Naksha program is to reform the urban land survey using the advanced geospatial technologies. And this is completely about the Naksha program. So in a very brief manner, this is what the Naksha program is all about, and we'll understand what is this Naksha program, why it has been launched, what are the objectives as well. And one thing that we should understand here, in India, urbanization has been taking place at a rapid pace, and because of that reason, there is a need for accurate land records as well. So these land records will ensure there will be no land disputes in urban areas, and the land records will also help collect property taxes in a much more efficient manner, and it will also result in appropriate land management in the urban areas, and there will be the digitization of the land records of urban areas. So don't you think that it has a number of benefits, and because of this reason the Naksha program is very important for the urban areas. And the second phase of the capacity building training will begin on 2nd June 2025, and in fact already a successful first phase has been completed, and in this first phase 160 master trainers have been given training. And this initiative involves around 304 officers from 157 urban local bodies all across the country. And on this image you can clearly see that I have already mentioned what is Naksha pilot program. Now you can see the benefits of Naksha program. Now if you are asked a question about the urban development, you can mention Naksha program as an example. Right? The benefits of Naksha program including the accurate online land records, improving the urban land management, advanced urban land administration and disaster management, transparent and faster land related processes. So these are the 4 benefits of the Naksha program. However, in recent times, as I have already told you, that the rapid urbanization and increasing the vagaries of the weather, particularly because of the floods and other problems that the urban areas have been facing in recent times, there is a need to build resilient cities or resilient urban centers. So urban centers are known as the growth centers of India, and because of that reason it is very important we need to have programs like Naksha. And in fact, as I have already mentioned, that Naksha stands for National Geospatial Knowledge Based Land Survey of Urban Habitations. So this is the meaning of Naksha program. And in fact, the Naksha program will address the pressing need for modern, accurate and accessible land records in the urban areas, and it will also help build sustainable and resilient cities as well. And with India's urban population projected to reach 600 million by the year 2031, a reliable land documentation is very important for both urban governance as well as the urban planning, in order to plan our cities in a much more efficient manner, sustainable manner, inclusive and even climate resilient way of building cities. The urban planning and even the land management practices needs to be much more efficient and effective, and this Naksh program will essentially target this aspect of urban planning and development. Now, what are the objectives of the Naksha program? So we will try to understand the objectives of the Naksha program. And firstly, it helps modernize urban land records for much more accuracy and accessibility. Secondly, it will help enhance the urban planning capabilities to support smart city initiatives. And in fact, already 100 cities have been selected as smart cities, and various projects have already been launched in these number of cities under the smart city mission as well. However, under the Naksha program, when we have the accurate land details, land records, and that will help in better land management practices in these smart cities as well. And in fact, it will help reduce the land disputes and even clear the ownership documentation as well. And in fact, it will also help collect property taxes in a much more efficient and effective manner. And in fact, it will also help fostering transparency in land record management, web-based, GIS-based IT system, and it even support sustainable urban development and governance in the long term. So I hope you have understood Naksha. And in fact, in rural areas, there is a program called Swamitva that has been launched by the Union government. This is also a land record management or using technology to create a land titles. This Swamitva program has been launched. This is particularly for the rural areas, and on similar grounds, this Naksha program has been launched for the urban areas. So you just have to understand the difference between Swamitva and Naksha program. And next important topic, which is also in news, that recently a Bharat Gen Artificial Intelligence Initiative has been launched. So we'll understand what exactly is this Bharat Gen Artificial Intelligence Initiative, right? So India recently launched Bharat Gen. It is a groundbreaking artificial intelligence initiative. We all knew that artificial intelligence is an emerging technology, and India is also looking to invest and also encourage talent pool in the arena of artificial intelligence. So in order to make sure that India captures the talent pool which is existed in the domain of artificial intelligence, so India has launched Bharat Gen. It is an artificial intelligence initiative, and in fact this is a multimodal large language model, and this specifically designed to cater to the diverse linguistic and cultural landscapes all across India. For example, if you get a question on Bharat Gen, it deals with the multimodal large language models, and this is also part of the artificial intelligence network. And in fact, so this Bharat Gen initiative was revealed at the Bharat Gen Summit that has been held recently. And in fact, this Bharat Gen Summit is considered as the largest event which focuses on generative artificial intelligence all across the country. However, Bharat Gen is a product of the National Mission on Interdisciplinary Cyber Physical Systems right? So this is actually the product of National Mission on Interdisciplinary Cyber Physical Systems, and in fact this Bharat Jan Artificial Intelligence initiative has been supported by the Department of Science and Technology. Similarly, it aims to revolutionize the artificial intelligence applications across different sectors. Now remember that when we talk about the artificial intelligence, what is artificial intelligence? So artificial intelligence is an emerging technology, and artificial intelligence can even mimic the human the human capacities, right? So human capacities, and in fact the artificial intelligence can perform several functions that the human beings have been performing, and that requires the decision making on the field. They can actually take decisions on their own, and they can also execute the functions like how human beings have been doing. So they are not purely mechanical in nature, and they even take a lot of decisions in number of areas. Now, what is the purpose and how the Bharat Jan Artificial Intelligence initiative has been developed? And this Bharat Jan is developed to provide artificial intelligence solutions in 22 Indian languages. Now, one thing that we should understand here, the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution. So in the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution, there are how many languages? There are 22 languages which are part of the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution. So therefore, this Bharat Jan Artificial Intelligence initiative is developed to provide solutions in all 22 Indian scheduled languages. And in fact, the Bharat Jan Artificial Intelligence device, or the Bharat Jan Artificial Intelligence initiative, it will integrate the text, it will integrate speech, and even the image processing as well, right? So it will integrate all these different functions, and thereby it creates a more inclusive approach to technology. It creates a more inclusive approach to technology. So therefore, this is going to be another big advantage of this Bharat Jan Artificial Intelligence initiative. And in fact, there are certain sectors which are considered as a critical sectors in India, such as healthcare. Healthcare is no doubt is considered as a critical sector. Education is also considered as a critical sector, and agriculture, around half of the India's population directly indirectly dependent on agriculture sector, and even governance. So these sectors are categorized or classified as the critical sectors. And in fact, the Bharat Jan Artificial Intelligence initiative specifically focuses on these critical sectors, and it means the Bharat Jan Artificial Intelligence initiative will empower these critical sectors. And in fact, the other major advantage of Bharat Jan Artificial Intelligence network is that it offers a region specific solutions as well. So therefore, Bharat Jan aims to serve every Indian in a much more effective manner. And in fact, the Bharat Jan Artificial Intelligence initiative is backed by the government funding, and a consortium of academic institutions and innovators are part of developing the Bharat Jan Artificial Intelligence initiative. So, in coming days, we'll be discussing more about the Bharat Jan Artificial Intelligence initiative. What is it? What are its specific functions, its specific benefits? So we will be understanding all those details in coming news analysis. Now in fact, this year UPSC prelims examination 2025, so they have asked about both deep learning and machine learning. So the question statement is like that a deep learning is a subset of machine learning. Of course, the deep learning is actually part of the larger machine learning. So therefore, I'm telling you that by regularly following our classes, you can be adequately equip yourself with all important current affairs topics. Now, along with the current affairs topics, I am also discussing the static topics as well. So therefore, if you face any difficulty, understanding things, so you can just leave a comment. so that I can answer your queries, right? So we can assist you. You just leave a query in the comment section, right? So here, if we can look into the generative artificial intelligence. So what exactly is a generative artificial intelligence? So it is, to understand generative artificial intelligence, we first need to understand how a technology builds from each of artificial intelligence subcategories listed below. Now firstly, let's have a look at the generative artificial intelligence. So this generative artificial intelligence, it generates new text, it generates audio, images, videos, or even code based on a content it has been pre-trained on. So there is a certain content which is already given to that particular initiative. So it can convert that particular content into audio, images, video, or code. So this is what is called as the generative artificial intelligence. Now this generative artificial intelligence is part of deep learning. Now, what is a deep learning? So deep learning actually mimic the human brain. So how human brain functions, works, so that very same thing is mimicked by the deep learning technique, right? Such as transformers. So therefore, to allow computers to perform certain complex tasks, for example robots or any other machines, they cannot perform the tasks that the human beings have been performing, and these tasks are considered as the complex tasks. But the deep learning can be able to mimic human intelligence, it can be able to mimic human brains as well. However, the deep learning is part of the machine learning. Now what is machine learning? It is the ability of the computers to learn from the experience or data without human programming. So that is machine learning. Now a deep learning is part of machine learning. And when we talk about the artificial intelligence, the theory and methods to build machines that think and act like humans. So that is what is artificial intelligence. So generative artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning, so everything comes part of the artificial intelligence. So I hope it is clear for you. And if you have any doubts, you just leave those doubts in the comment section. We'll try to address you. So if necessary, I will explain that to you again as well. There's no problem. Next is Ukraine's spider web. So recently this Ukraine's spider web is also in use. So we'll try to understand what exactly is this Ukraine's spider web. So this is also called as Operation Spider Web. So there's a probability that a question may be asked about this. Now Ukraine recently executed a military operation, and this operation is called as Operation Spider Web. Right, so this is an Operation Spider Web, and this has targeted Russian military infrastructure specifically. Right, so this is the context. And in this Operation Spider Web, what happened was, so we'll try to discuss that, but this is an 18-month plan. It has been planned so meticulously, and it is also considered as a very important moment on the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine, because it has inflicted a huge damage, a huge losses on Russia. So because of that reason, it is a very important moment on the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia. And in fact, it is being said that Ukraine's spider web drone strike actually hit around 40 Russian aircraft, and $7 billion of damage has been caused to Russia through Operation Spider Web. Now what is this Operation Spider Web? So it has involved the use of short range drones. These drones are loaded with the explosives. For example, during Operation Sindoor also a lot of drones have been used, right? So there are drones, drone like devices, and these drones are actually equipped with explosives, or they are being filled with the explosives. And these drones are concealed in the wooden cabins, and those cabins are mounted in the trucks, so that Russia will not be able to intercept. Russia will not be able to track these drones. So what Ukraine has done, so it has concealed these drones in the wooden cabins which are mounted on the trucks, allowing them to be transported near the Russian air bases without any detection. Now, so if we talk about the execution and the strategy, so how Ukraine executed this, how Ukraine attacked Russian military bases, Russian aircrafts, inflicted huge damages to the Russian side using these drones which are filled with the explosives. Ukrainian agents, so they are all across Russia-Ukraine border, so they operated across multiple Russian regions. So we can call these strikes as coordinated strikes in 3 different time zones. And in fact, this stealth approach also draw the comparisons to the Trojan horse. Now, what is this Trojan horse and why this Operation Spiderweb is compared with Trojan horse? So Trojan horse is actually ancient Greek technique. So in this Trojan horse techniques, generally Greeks, if they wanted to invade the city, any other city of enemies, so they used to conceal themselves in wooden horses. And they escape the security checks, they escape the enemy forces, and they enter the city and they conquer the cities. So if they wanted to invade any city, so they conceal themselves in these wooden horses, and because of that particular reason, so here also you can see the comparison that so these drones were concealed in wooden cabins which are mounted on the trucks, and that's why the stealth approach draw comparisons to the Trojan horses of the Greeks, and it has been showcasing the innovative tactics in the modern warfare. And in fact, so some Ukrainian sources also said that the operation has resulted in the destruction of around 41 Russian warplanes and numerous air bases as well. However, there is no confirmation from Russia about this, but Ukrainian sources have confirmed this, that around 40 aircrafts were destroyed and military bases were also destroyed in this Operation Spiderweb. However, the Ukrainian targets included the strategic bombers such as Tu-95, Tu-160, A-50 surveillance planes. Now this year UPSC has asked about the explosives, and there is also a probability that UPSC may ask such questions. So recently Tu-95, Tu-160, A-50, which are seen in news, so they are referred to what? So therefore remember that they are the military and strategic bombers of Russia. And in fact, it is estimated that the total damage caused by the drone attack on Russia by Ukraine would be around 7 billion, and it severely impacts Russia's military capabilities as well. So I hope it is clear for you. Next is India's EV manufacturing guidelines. So recently India has launched the electric vehicle manufacturing guidelines. Now we'll understand what exactly are these electric vehicle manufacturing guidelines and how these guidelines are going to change India's the landscape of electric vehicles manufacturing. However, India seriously wanted Elon Musk's electric vehicle manufacturing company, to open its plant and manufacture electric vehicles in India. However, Tesla is not interested in opening its manufacturing plant in India, but Tesla wanted to convert India into a market of already manufactured goods in some other countries, and they just wanted to import those already manufactured units into India and sell them in Indian markets. And Tesla has been asking to reduce the import duties on these already manufactured vehicles. However, the Indian government said No, Indian government is not interested. If you are ready to manufacture your electric vehicles in India, yes, we will be ready to assist you. But if you are looking at India as just a market to sell your electric vehicles which are manufactured in some other country, we would not be welcoming you. So this is the stance of the government, right? So since Tesla is not interested to open their manufacturing plant in India, what Indian government has done? So Indian government has come up with some guidelines to encourage other electric vehicle manufacturing companies to set up their manufacturing plants in India, so that there will be a sustained push of electric vehicle manufacturing in India, and India will become the net exporter of electric vehicles outside India, right? So this is the overall objective, and I think I have already explained you the brief background why the electric vehicle manufacturing guidelines were introduced in India. Now, the government of India introduced the guidelines to boost the domestic manufacturing of electric vehicles. And in fact, the scheme to promote promote manufacturing of electric passenger cars in India. So this is also called as SPMEPCI. So this is the scheme that the government has launched, and in fact the objective of the scheme is to attract the global manufacturers and manufacture electric vehicles in India. Now this initiative comes amid Tesla's reluctance to invest in manufacturing within India. Now Tesla is not ready to invest in manufacturing in India, as I have already told you, right? So in this context, the guidelines actually offer the reduced import duty of around 15% for completely built units. So CBU is completely built units, so a reduced import duty. For example, imagine that Kia Motors, right? So Kia Motors, so this Kia Motors established a manufacturing plant in India, and it has even complied with all the guidelines that the government of India has issued under the scheme to promote manufacturing of electric passenger cars in India. Now, if Kia Motors wanted to import electric vehicles into India, so it can import electric vehicles with a less import duty, right? So this is another incentive that the government of India extended for the companies which are ready to establish the manufacturing units in India, and which are ready to use the local content in manufacturing of these vehicles, right? So we'll understand about this particular scheme. So this is a scheme for promotion of manufacturing of electric passenger cars in India. So the overall objective of the scheme is to promote the local manufacturing. So we would like to promote the local manufacturing of the passenger cars in India. So we don't want to import already manufactured passenger cars from somewhere else. So it is very, very important that we need to have a strong manufacturing base in India itself, because in future we wanted to have more and more electric vehicles on the roads. So therefore there should be an architecture, there should be a framework that encourages manufacturing of electric vehicles, right? So this is the first objective. The second objective is that it allows the manufacturers to import around 8,000 vehicles, right? For example, I have given the Kia Motors example. So in Kia Motors example, as I have already told you, that if it is able to build a manufacturing plant in India, then it can be able to import the already built vehicles from other countries to India at a low customs duty, right? Now here the Kia Motors can actually import up to 8,000 electric vehicles annually at a concessional duty, right? So this is another advantage or another incentive that has been given to it. Yes, wait a minute. Yeah. All right, so this is another advantage that has been an incentive that has been given to the Kia Motors or any other company which is ready to invest in India. And in fact, the scheme is valid for 5 years from the approval date by the government. So this particular scheme is valid for 5 days, so 5 years, right? So in fact, the scheme and the initiative that the government of India has launched, it is actually part of India's broader strategy to become a global hub for electric vehicle production. So we would like to produce electric vehicles, and it is part of India's broader strategy to become a global hub for the electric vehicle production. So it's not just about the export of the electric vehicles, but on Indian roads also we wanted more and more electric vehicles by 2030. So it's not possible to have more and more electric vehicles because if we don't have the manufacturing capabilities, then we completely rely on other countries to import these electric vehicles. And even if we wanted to encourage the private sector, the domestic private sector, so domestic private sector may lack the capital, may lack the technology, so they may lack the capacities to produce the electric vehicles. So therefore in this context, it is very important for India to attract the companies which are already into the electric vehicle manufacturing. So if we don't provide the incentives to these companies, so they would shift their bases to the other competitive ecosystems, for example Vietnam, Indonesia and Thailand, so all these different countries, right? So under this scheme for a promotion of manufacturing of electric passenger cars in India, so it has set certain investment requirements, right? So as per investment requirements, a company must invest at least 4,150 crore, so that is approximately 500 million in local manufacturing. So this is the first of the guidelines. Secondly, investment must occur within 3 years. So the total investment so must be put in place within three years, and during which manufacturers must establish production facilities and they should also begin operations as well. And additionally, applicants must have a global revenue of at least 10,000 crore as well, because they have the electric vehicle manufacturing units in not just in India but in other countries also. So overall they should have the global revenue of 10,000 crore, so that we can attract more and more competitive and more able electric vehicle manufacturing companies into India, not every company, right? So apart from that, it has also mandated for domestic value addition targets as well, because the guidelines clearly stipulate that the electric vehicle manufacturers, so they should achieve a minimum domestic value. You know what does domestic value means? For example, a foreign company came to India and it has established a car manufacturing plant in India. Now when it has been manufacturing the car, so it is being mandated that the 25% of the total equipment, total material that has been used in this car should be procured from India itself, right? So at least minimum 25% should be procured from India itself. So by this what happens, so there will be growth in domestic manufacturing, and there will be a growth in employment as well, and overall we develop the electric vehicle ecosystem in India and its spare parts as well. So that's why the government has mandated minimum 25% of domestic value addition within 3 years. Furthermore, the minimum of 50% must be reached within the 5 years. So again, the very same car company, first 3 years it should be 25%, and next within 5 years, so it should be 50% of the total equipment, total material that has been used in this car should be procured from the domestic markets itself, right? So this is what the government has said, and in fact the requirement aims to ensure a portion of the vehicle's value is derived from the local resources alone. So this is the objective, that if we are manufacturing a car, if any private company is manufacturing a car, a portion of car's value comes from the local resources. Now, eligibility for import duty reduction, right? So as we have already said, that if any company is ready to invest in India, and this particular company can even import the already built units to India, right? So it can actually import around 8,000 units per year into India. So however, so the approved applicants can import the completely built units of electric four-wheelers with a minimum cost insurance freight value of $35,000, right? So this is the eligibility for import duty reduction. So on those vehicles, the import duty will be just 15%, right? So a reduced customs duty of 15% applies to a maximum of 8,000 units per year. And in fact, any unused import quota can be carried over to the subsequent years as well. Now, impact on global manufacturers. So what impact does it have on global manufacturers? So as of now, this particular scheme has attracted interests from several global electric vehicle manufacturers such as Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, and even South Korean companies like Hyundai and Kia. So they are ready and invest in India's electric vehicle manufacturing ecosystem. So however, Tesla has shown a limited interest in local manufacturing, and Tesla focused on establishing showrooms in India, and it just wanted to sell their cars in India which were manufactured somewhere else, right? But on the other hand, Indian government is not ready for this. Indian government strictly wanted Tesla to establish its electric vehicle manufacturing unit in India, and only then it can sell the electric vehicles in Indian market. Now also Tesla can sell its electric vehicles in Indian market, provided that Tesla pays higher import duties. So that will be not feasible for the Tesla as of now. So the next topic is Indian Navy and European Naval Forces joint naval exercise is being conducted, and the overall focus of Indian Navy and European Naval Forces joint naval exercise is interoperability, to further strengthen the interoperability, right? So the objective is to enhance interoperability and combat non-traditional maritime threats that these two forces have been facing. For example, piracy, right? So unregulated, illegal fishing, unregulated and illegal fishing, and terrorism, right? So terrorism, piracy, right? So all these are threats that they have to deal with. So one example I can give you is Gulf of Aden and Red Sea, Gulf of Aden and Red Sea. So because of some militant organizations, right? So whether it is Hamas or Houthis, which are based in Yemen, Hamas is based in Gaza, and even Hezbollah, right? So Hezbollah is also a militant organization. So this is based out of Lebanon, right? So this is based out of Lebanon. So they have created a lot of challenges for the maritime trade routes, So therefore, India as a net security provider in the region, the Arabian Sea region, the Gulf of Aden, so in all these regions, and in fact a trade commerce, commercial shipping and security of the vessels is also very very important for the European Union, because most of these militant organizations have targeted the European Union countries which are which are pro-Israel. So because of that reason, so there is a need for interoperability, and there is also a need to strengthen capabilities to combat non-traditional maritime threats that these countries have been facing. And that's why Indian Navy and European naval forces have been conducting a joint naval exercise. So I hope you have understood, because I have explained this in a very brief manner and a clear manner. Now, so this collaboration between India and European Union naval forces is considered as a step towards reinforcing maritime security in the Indian Ocean region. And in fact, the joint exercise follows a port visit by Spanish frigate ESPS Reina Sofia and Italian frigate ITS Antonio Marsiglia to Mumbai. And in fact, these visits from Italian frigate and Spanish frigate actually marked the first of its kind under the European Union aegis coming to India. Now, so I would like to tell you another very important thing, that these military exercises are very very important. Now this year UPSC has not asked about the military exercises, but there is always a chance that these military exercises might be asked by UPSC. So therefore you have to be very very careful about these military exercises. For example, the Kanjar is a military exercise between India and Kyrgyzstan. Austra Hind is a military exercise between India and Australia. Yudh Abhyas between India and USA. Garuda Shakti, India and Indonesia. So please kindly pause the video and go through all these different military exercises that India conduct with all different countries, because there is a probability of matching type of questions might be asked from this particular portion. And apart from that, this is the area which is called as Gulf of Aden, and this is where the Houthis are based out. Houthis are in Yemen, and so they actually pose the non-conventional security threats for the vessels which have been passing through the choke point. So this is called as a choke point, and this is also called as a choke point. So when ships are passing through these choke points, the Houthis, Hezbollah and Hamas are attacking these vessels, thereby disrupting the trade and commerce. And this is a common concern for Europe and India as well. So in order to deal with these threats, both India and European Union have been conducting joint naval exercises which focuses on enhancing interoperability between the navies of these two countries, further strengthening the coordination, cooperation, and even strengthening their ability to deal with the non-conventional threats as well. So I hope you have understood this, and that's all in this lecture, and thank you so much.